good God we serve for helping us to all be sober, to be here tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, worship team, for leading us in. Y'all may be seated. Thanks for coming tonight. We appreciate you being here with us. I know it helps me to stay sober, to stay saved, to be here to commune with you all, because fellowship and community is a huge part of what helps us to stay sober. When we isolate, that's time that the devil wants to seep in, remind us of our old ways and our old habits, and we tend to think that no one cares, and thoughts start ruminating in our minds. So it's good that we come on Mondays and we come together and we spend this time learning and connecting and chatting and fellowshipping. That's a huge part about what we do here, because we cannot do it by ourselves. So even if you feel tired, everyone here, I'm preaching to the choir. You're here. Someone that didn't show up that need to hear this message. But if there's moments that you feel tired, just come, because that's the moments. I know for me, when I feel like not being here, that's when I need to be here the most. And I leave feeling 10 times better than I did before. So thank you for those that have chose to be here with us tonight. So welcome to Saved and Sober. I'm Denise, and this is Jake. We're the facilitators of Saved and Sober. This meeting has been established by Christians who have recovered from mental torment, addiction, and alcoholism. Saved and Sober exists to follow our core beliefs, which are: 1, we believe that there is one God, and his name is Jesus. 2, the only way to truly stay sober once being saved is to work a program of recovery and live a life based on biblical principles on a daily basis, carrying the message of redemptive salvation of Jesus Christ to others. And 3, our desire is that Saved and Sober is a spirit-led ministry. And so if there's anyone here for the first time, I don't know if we have any first-time friends? No? Okay. All right. Everyone's been here before. Well, welcome back. I encourage you to invite somebody. The last Saved and Sober of the month is a great time to invite somebody. If you know somebody's struggling, invite them to come and have some food. We have food and fellowship on the last Monday of the month, so invite them to come along with you, because I bet you every single one of us here knows somebody that's struggling, either with addiction themselves or with a family member or loved one that's struggling. We have Overcomers on the first Monday of the month. So that's a great opportunity if you know someone that has a loved one. If it's a woman, it's because it's a woman's group. A woman that has a family member that's struggling, or a loved one, invite her to come on that first Monday of the month, because this is something that can help the community at large. So let's go ahead. Austin, can you grab the offering please, and pass that around? We do appreciate your faithful giving. Of course, do not feel obligated. And if you need a document signed as to your participation tonight, please put that in the offering plate, and we will sign that after the meeting. All right, so can I have just 2 volunteers to help us afterwards with a little tidy up? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. All right, thank you. Just see Brother Dejan in the back corner at the end, and he'll fill you in. Okay, so without further ado, this month we're talking about step 4, which talks about a fearless moral inventory. So Jake is going to dive into that tonight. So Jake, come on up. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Praise the Lord, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to come up here and be of service tonight. It's not lost on me that every time I come up here, that it's a privilege to teach. I live this program every day. I have to. This is how I have to live my life. And if I don't do this program every day, I have to suffer the consequences, and so do you all. And sometimes you experience Jake outside of recovery, and you know it when you see it. I usually roll up with my foot in my mouth and, all my business hanging out, all my personal attributes, my ideas that I have enough ideas I can destroy anything, I'll tell you. So I love that when I get to come to Saved and Sober and teach, because when I'm up here, I'm teaching to you, but I'm actually teaching to myself. All right, so I want to make that clear. Say a prayer. There's quite a few folks that text me tonight, or handful of folks that text me tonight that wanted to come, that they either weren't feeling good or had some things going on. So keep them in prayer, and, reach out to them, let them know you're thinking of them. You know who's supposed to be here or they're not here. So reach out to them, check on them. This month, we're working on step 4. And step 4 is that we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I'm going to go ahead, before I do any work, any recovery work, I always pray. So I wanted to know if you could help me for a second. Let's pray. God, thank you for the fellowship that we have in this place, God, for keeping us sober one more day. God, we thank you for everything you've done to get us here to this point, God. All the work that you've done in our lives, God, that let this be an example, God, of the mighty work that you can do in somebody else's life. God, whatever words cross my lips today, God, let it be of you, not of me. God, let it be your will that gets done in this place. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Okay, so recap, all right? For those that don't know the steps, they are, we'll just kind of run through the first couple here. Step 1 is that we admitted that we were powerless and our lives were unmanageable. So we're powerless over whatever the issue that we're struggling with, whether it's drugs, alcohol. Once we're powerless, now we need a new power, right? We need power. And so we come to believe in a power greater than ourselves that can restore us to sanity. And I don't know about you, but I had some pretty insane ideas about how I was going to control what I was struggling with. And so I had to be restored to sanity. And the insanity isn't the crazy stuff I did. It was the crazy thought that I could control the substance. Because that was crazy. And I kept doing it over and over again, thinking this time it's going to be different. So once I make a decision to once I came to believe in a power greater than myself that could restore to sanity, then I was ready to to turn my life and my will over to the care of God as I understand Him. When we say turn our life and our will over to the care of God as we understand Him, we're not saying any God that you choose. There's only one God, and His name is Jesus. And we know that. And so when we turn our life and our will over to Him as we understand Him, when I came in through these doors, when I first got sober, I mean, and a lot of people can agree with this, I think, in this room, that when I came in here, I didn't understand. I couldn't comprehend a God that was omnipotent, omnipresent, outside of space and time. That was the creator of everything. I couldn't comprehend that. All I could comprehend is there was somebody up there who cared more about me than I cared about myself. That was a limited understanding. You know what? And that was a great place to start. And for a lot of people that are coming in these rooms, that's where they need to start. They need to plug in to wherever it fits. And then we help them through to a place where they make a decision. They don't have to do it today. But when step 3 comes, it's we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Once we do that, then we can do what's called a searching and fearless moral inventory. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to start with a story. Anybody here like stories? Like a little story here and there? I like stories. I'm a story guy. All right. There was a failing corner store. Anybody been to some corner stores sometimes where you walk in, you're just like, how does this place stay in business? And like you pick up the pistachios and they're like from 1987. And you're like, these pistachios are old. Right? And you know, and you're walking back there and like there's stuff stuck to the bottom of the fridge and you're like, I don't even know what that is. Should I even buy anything from here? So we've all been to those places. So they're a failing corner store that everybody in town avoided unless it was absolutely necessary to go. Too much of one item, not enough of another item, expired food items on the shelves. Employees argued and walked off the job on a normal basis. Money disappeared from the cash register. The electricity was intermittent because they weren't paying the bills on time. The owner was always insisting that he was handling it. But the store really only provided confusion, neglect, and poor leadership in the community. Eventually, the owner became overwhelmed and the bank forced him to hand the store over to somebody that had impeccable business acumen. So the bank sends somebody down and says, look, we've loaned you all this money. We're not going to shut you down. We want to get the money back. So we're going to send somebody down there that knows business. We're going to hire them to turn this thing around. The new owner did not tear the building down. He didn't kick everybody out. He didn't shut everything down. The new owner, instead, he took his time going through every corner of the store, every ledger, every back room, every shelf he went through. He cleaned the shelves. He reorganized the inventory. He repaired what was broken. He trained the workers. He removed the unhealthy practices of how they handled money and how they treated the customers. At first, the employees resisted because they were used to the chaos. They were used to the way that things went. Over time, though, the store became healthy, peaceful, and profitable. People could trust it again. And that's how it got repaired. I'm going to go ahead and start with a little reading here from the big book. And this is from How It Works. And for those that don't know, this is the chapter in the big book that talks about work. Because recovery, in one word, as Pastor often says, is work. So here we go. Therefore, and this is after step 3 was done. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. And I want you to hear this. This is the business that we just read about, okay? A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. Everybody say fact-finding. Say fact-facing. That's right. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsoluble goods. Anybody, when you were in an active substance use disorder, you had some damaged and insoluble goods? Yeah, I did. To get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock and trade honestly. First, we searched out our flaws in our makeup, which caused us failure. We had to go in. We had to look at our store. I'll tell you what, up here, I have an AM/PM mini mart up here. Right now, it's too much good stuff because I've been living for the Lord and I've been working a program of recovery. Too much good stuff. You know, I got I feel like sometimes, what's that animal or the creature that you hear on the commercials on the radio? Tungus. I heard the radio commercial about Tungus. You know, some like caveman sounding thing. Anyway, I'm not really sure what that is, but he said too much good stuff. And that's what I got up here. And I got Tungus up there trying to figure it out. All right? So this mini mart, man, if I'm not continually going in, when I first started, my corner store in my head, this little mini mart, was a mess. It was a mess. Nobody wanted to come into that corner store. You were going to get either robbed or you were going to get poisoned. One or the other. And so I had to go in. I had to admit that my store was a wreck. Step 2, I had to make a decision, or I had to come to believe that there was somebody that could fix it. And step 3, I had to make a decision that I'm going to turn this thing over. Step 1 is that I can't. Step 2, he can. Step 3, I'm going to let him. All right? Step 4, that's when I turned it over to the boss. And he said, okay, now you're going to get to work. And God helped me go through, everybody say moral. If you look up moral in the dictionary, what do you think that you'll find? You're going to find the word truth. When we're doing step 4, we are only interested in one thing. That is the truth of the matter. Fact-finding, fact-facing. We want the facts. I tell you, up here in this head of mine, I used to watch a lot of football. I used to watch a ton of football. Like, it consumed my life. Okay? And I used to love whenever they would take that red flag and they out there and challenge the play. And it was a big deal because they would slow it down and you'd see every hit that would happen and you would say, oh, obviously he meant to do it. Unless it was the other team, and then, things kind of switched. But I knew I could see the slow motion. So I have one of those up here now. The one that I have up here, it is so good. It's way better than the ones that they have on TV. It is so good that I can play it in forward. And I can see what you're going to do next. And so I have all this history of everything that I went through, all the struggles and the problems that I had in my life. I can tell you that I have all those memories in my mind. Everything that you said to me, everything that was done to me, everything I experienced, I have a catalog. That's what's sitting on my shelves in my corner store. So, I had been the store managers for years, and it was a wreck. And even though now, as of 4 days ago, I have 7 years sober, I still mismanage the store sometimes. Sometimes I mismanage the store. Stuff comes out of my mouth. And I do things that I'm not supposed to do. I think Paul said something about that, didn't he? He said, those things I want to do, that's what I do. The things that I want to do, I don't do them. And you know what? I can relate. I still do them. I want to say that the biggest issue in my store has always been, I struggle with thoughtlessness. Like, I will do stuff. I don't even think about what other people are doing. I'll just do it. I struggle with self-centeredness. I'm worried about me and what I'm trying to get done. And impulsiveness. I'll just do stuff. I'll just go and do it. I don't even think about what's going to happen to anyone else. It's just going to happen. That seems like a good idea, therefore it is a good idea. No questions. Like that scripture that says, in the presence of many counselors there is safety. Over my head, man. I'll just go do it. And I'll pay for it later. Believe me, I always pay for it. I had to keep out of the store long enough I had to get out of my own mind. The only way I could do that is going on a fact-finding, fact-facing mission. And if I'm out of the store long enough, if I keep that manager out of the store, the one that cleaned everything up and is running the show right, if I keep him out of the store long enough, I'll stop checking the expiration dates. I'll stop cleaning the refrigerators. I'll stop doing all the stuff I have to do to keep my store running appropriately. So I want to read now. I want to switch over here. We'll come back to that in a minute. I want to switch to the Bible. And we say, Jake, that's great. This is all good. And, we can agree with you. But what does the Bible say about this process? Is step 4 biblical? Well, there's a letter here Paul had a real issue with the church in Corinth. They were not very good at doing church, which they were new. It was a whole new deal. Christianity was brand new back then. So Paul was trying to help them figure it out, which is perfectly acceptable. Here's what they wrote to him. And Paul, at that moment, they were challenging whether Paul was a man of God or not. They were saying, is this person real? Is he legit? Is Paul authentic? They were challenging him. This is the end of his letter that he's writing to the church that is saying basically you're fake. And this is what Paul says back to them. He says, I told you before and foretell you as if I were present the second time. Remember, he came a first time. So now he's saying, if I was there again, and being absent now, I write to them which heretofore have sinned, and to all other that if I come again, I will not spare. Listen, he's saying, listen, y'all are sinners. I came one time. I'm going to come again. All right, I'm coming back. He's writing a letter. He's essentially the pastor of this church, right? And he's saying, I'm going to come back. And he says, I'm not going to spare you. I'm not going to be gentle with you in this matter here. Since ye seek proof of Christ speaking in me, which toward is not weak, but is mighty in you. He's saying, hey, Christ is in me, Christ is in you. For though he was crucified through weakness, yet he liveth by the power of God. For we are also weak in him, but we shall live in him by the power of God toward you. Saying, hey, look, we're weak, he's strong. That's how we make it through. Examine, he says this is 13:5. 2 Corinthians 13:5. He says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves, know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates. He's saying, look, hey, don't look at me. Look in the mirror. Deal with yourself. Get yourself right. Figure out your own stuff before you come and judge me as the man of God. That's what Paul is saying to them. And here's the deal. He goes on to say that I trust ye shall know that we are not reprobates. Saying by you want to know if you want to read someone else's mail, you better read your own mail first. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Is what the prophet Ice Cube used to say. And shotgun shells ain't good for your health. Neither is messing with Paul, apparently. See, I heard he had short man syndrome. I could be wrong. Now I pray to God that ye do no evil, not that we should appear approved, but that we should do that which is honest, it's truth, through we be as reprobates. Saying, hey, look, regardless of whether you're reprobates or not, be honest. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. For we are glad when we are weak, ye are strong, and this also we wish even your perfection. Therefore I write these things, being absent, lest I present, I should use sharpness according to the power which the Lord hath given me to edification and not to destruction. What is Paul saying there? He's saying, look, go search yourself. Go check yourself. Because you can only measure the truth against the truth. Plain and simple. If you want to know what the moral is, this is the moral. Measure yourself against this. Now, what are we looking for when we're doing all this? You said, Jake, that's great. Okay, well, look, we get it. We got to go through the store. We got to get all the expired food out. We got to get all the junk out. We got to stop stealing money out of the cash register. Like, we get it. Okay, so what exactly are you talking about? Get down to the issue here. Well, we literally, in step 4, we literally list out our past. All of our conduct or the things we've done, our resentments, what we hold against other people. How many people will be honest right here and say that they've had resentments? People that have done things to them that, you know what, maybe when I see that person, my blood kind of boils. Or, listen, if you think, let me tell some people this. If you think you don't have resentment, I would say, congratulations. I want to get there someday. But even today, having 7 years sober, there's still times where people cut me off and my blood is boiling for the next 3-4 miles until I can get a prayer in me. There's things that pop up that you're going to get resentments. It's just going through this initial house cleaning process extends into that ability to be able to notice when you're building a resentment and doing what's in step 10, which is when we were wrong, we would promptly admitted it, right? Continue to take a moral inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. You do this in step 10 on a constant basis so you don't build up these resentments. You don't let resentments root and take home. So step 4, I had one guy I was working with, I was sponsoring. He was working with another guy before, and he said, you know, hey man, I want to work with you. I want to go through the steps with you. I said, great. Have you ever worked the steps? He said, yes, I had another sponsor up until a couple weeks ago. I said, okay, well, tell me what happened. He said, well, I brought him my step 4 and he dropped me. I was like, okay, what did you do? He said, well, I listed everything out that I've experienced in my life. I was like, okay. He said, yeah. He said, in the big book, he says, write out your life story. I was like, oh, okay. Well, why don't you bring it and we'll take a look at it. This guy proceeded to bring to me 93 pages typed. 93 pages of his life story. And I was just like, yeah, we can't work together. No, I told him, I said, do not pass go, do not collect $200, sir. Go back to start, and we're going to do this the right way. Because that's not the point. The point isn't to write a novel about what the things that we've done in our lives. That's a waste of time. That's not what Bill and Bob intended from the start. It was literally to list it out. They make it nice and simple. I mean, if you've looked in the big book, they lay it out there pretty clearly. It's us that have, I've seen, and Kelly, you can agree, you've seen the guides. Some of those guides are like 30 pages long? It's like, who's going to read that? That's enough to make me go drink. It's crazy. No, that's not it. We overcomplicate this thing. And I'm thankful that next week, if you come back, Sister Wolf is going to be helping walk us through step by step how to fill that inventory out so you can see how to do that. Is there anyone here that has never done an inventory before? You never done a fearless moral inventory? You've never written down the things that you've done? I would encourage you to show up next Monday, and Sister Wolf's going to teach on that topic, right? Okay, yes. All right. We talked about it. I just want to make sure. The big book says, so we're going to talk real quick about resentments, fear, and conduct. Because those are the 3 things, and sexual conduct, but we're not going to get into that today because that would require a little more finesse than I got to do it in a tasteful way. I'm not very tasteful in dealing with that topic. So we'll let somebody else that's more equipped handle it. But I will say that I can handle conduct, fear, and resentment. So we're going to cover that. So the big book says that resentment is the number 1 offender. Number 1 offender. It says, I believe it says, from it stems all forms of moral illness? I could be wrong. Anyway, it's the number 1 offender. Because resentment keeps us spiritually sick. If you have resentments, there's no way you can get spiritually well. It's impossible. It's impossible. A resentment is something that is on the surface, resentment is understood on its surface. So this is just a surface level description of it. People often think of it as something painful that happened. But it's really, truly much deeper than that. It's a wound that it's an emotional wound that we continually feed. We are continually feeding an emotional wound that's deep. Some of us built an identity around it. We have decided that we're going to make a resentment home. You heard it called a bitter root. Anybody heard it called a bitter root before, right? It can be built, it stems from things like who hurt us. It's maybe somebody abandoned us. Maybe somebody betrayed us. Maybe we were embarrassed. Maybe we were overlooked. Resentments are spiritual poison that we drink expecting other people to die. That's what resentment is. So resentment, until you can deal with the resentments that you have, you'll never truly be free from the pain and the struggle that you have. And that's why we list them out. And it'll look something like my ex-wife. She kept me from the kids and wouldn't let me talk to them because I was drinking a lot. And what did that hurt? It hurt my ambitions. It hurt my pocketbook because she took me to court for child support. It hurt my pride. It hurt a lot of things. And then once we list out our resentments, later in step 5, we can go and deal with them and find out what it is exactly in that I own. Many alcoholics and addicts are not using at a substance. So we tend to think that addicts and alcoholics are constantly looking for that drug or alcohol. They're using their behavior is toward the alcohol or the drugs. And that's simply, honestly, at the end of the day, that's not the case. I mean, it's really not that simple. It turns out that drug addiction and alcoholism, substance use disorder, is much more complex than that. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And this is where it stems from. This is where it starts. It's a fourth dimensional problem that needs a fourth dimensional solution. And that's what we're doing here. When we're in substance use disorder, when we're drinking, using, whatever we're doing, we keep replaying what happened. We won't let go of the things that we've experienced. It's like saying you're saying that I'm still bleeding from this wound that I have. I am still bleeding from it. Step 4 takes us from they ruined our life and helps us get to what did this produce inside of me. Here's an example. Let me throw an example out there. So I could not control the way that my ex-wife kept me from my kids. But but my responsibility was to control how I responded to it. Did I have to go burn my life to the ground consecutively because she kept me from the kids? That probably was the wrong thing to do, right? So really, my part in it is my response to the hurt. So the resentments, they affect your self-esteem because you're saying that I've been taken advantage of, I'm less than, right? Your ambitions, they stopped me. They got in my way. They kept me from. Personal relationships, we could have done better. We could have had a great relationship, but you ruined it. You kept me from my kids, so therefore our relationship isn't good, and it's your fault. And even sex relations, like I had, if, you kept me from being able to have a good marriage with my now wife because of the way that you acted. You got in the way of our relationship, and that's your fault. So everything can be boiled down to a resentment. Let's talk about fears, and I want to get to so that we can share here pretty soon. Fear, I want to tell you something, and you heard me say this last week. I'm going to repeat it. Mike did a great job. I'm not going to teach on it too much because he just did such a great job last week. Didn't he do a good job? Who's here? He did a good job. So I'm not going to dive too far into it, obviously because of time, and he did a good job. But I will say, I said this last time, that fear is the most mentioned emotion in the Bible, both in New Testament and Old Testament, and there's no close second. Fear is the thing, and God made it clear in the Bible. It's the thing that drives us and propels us forward in life. We're usually running from something is how we end up places. In fact, one of the most used statements on a consecutive basis in the Bible by God's extended authority or God himself is fear not. Of course, you'd probably say that if there was like a 15-foot angel with 90 eyes standing in front of you, I'd probably be a little scared. Let's go be honest with you. You might have to say, fear not. I might lose it. Fear is a primary emotion. For example, you're driving in your car. Any expeditious drivers in the house? Maybe you put a little bit of pedal to the metal. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Hey, thank you for the honesty. Everybody else, go pray. I seen you driving. I seen you pulling up in the parking spots out here. Come on. You're driving around. Somebody cuts you off. What's your first response? Fear. I'm going to die. I'm going to wreck. What's your second response? Because that's a primary emotion, fear. What's that? Anger. You friggin', chicken, sniggin'. All the other words that come out. You can't help it. You've been a Christian for how long and they still pop out? Hey, I'm telling you, it's okay. Like I said, Paul had it right. I don't want to do it, but it happens. I'm telling you, that is the primary emotion. It's taken me years, and this woman will be a witness to it. It's taken me years to get to a place where I get cut off, and my secondary emotion is not one of furious anger. I've gotten to a place through a lot of work, and a lot of these two books together have gotten me to a place where I'm no longer Yosemite Sam in the fast lane. All right? You too can do this if you put your mind to it. All right? Let's talk about conduct, and then we'll share. Conduct is what I actually did. So when it doesn't matter who you are, or how righteous you think you might be, Pharisees, I will tell you, there are things that you have done to other people that are unfortunate, that you probably should not have done, whether you were looking out for somebody else or you were looking out for your own personal ambitions, or you're trying to do what you thought was the right thing at the time. You had to make a split-second decision, and it was the wrong one. Everybody has conduct in their lives of things that they've done to other people. Things that you probably would take back if you could. Those are the things that we're interested in. Those are the insoluble goods. There were places, when I first got sober, there were places I was not allowed in. I don't know if they had a photo of me on the wall, but they might have. There were people I could not go around. I was not welcome in certain places. And there were places that I avoided out of embarrassment because of the way that I acted when I was there. There were conversations that I could not have with people that did not want to speak to me because of things that I had done, intentional or unintentional. There's a specific corner store that I used to go in intoxicated. And I did not walk into that corner store for 5 years of my sobriety because I was so embarrassed of how intoxicated I was when I used to walk in that place. But because I was able to do what is listed in here, and I was able to face my conduct and write it out, I was able to then deal with it and put it in a fact-finding, fact-facing format. And today, I'm able to go anywhere. There's not a place I can't go. There's not a conversation I can't have. There's not a mirror I can't stand in front of and look myself in the eye and think to myself, God created this man. It says in here that you will not regret your past, nor will you be willing to shut the door on it. I'm not willing to shut the door on my past. Those things that I did, that the enemy meant for evil, God turned it around for good. They're now a testimony. Hey, look, that 18-pack that I drank on the last night that I drank in my apartment, the last time I was in that apartment, the one that had no power on that I talk about, power shut off, and I was just eating like leftover Taco Bell. It was like 3 days old. I talk about that 18-pack, man. I can look back on that moment and I can say, God, look at what you did. Now we have a faith-based recovery program. It's 45 recovery programs around the country and 2 in Canada. Now, because of that 18-pack. There's not anything in your life that is so bad, that is so wrong, that is so disturbing, that God cannot use for his good. And I'm going to go back real quick, and I'm just going to read this list. Who hurt us? Who abandoned us? Who betrayed us? Who embarrassed us? Who overlooked us? Jesus experienced every single one of those things on Calvary. All of it. And what did he say? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he looked at a guy next to him and said, you know what? You may have been spitting and cursing at me too, but because you're being humble, today you'll be with me in paradise. That's what he told him. Now I'm thankful for that. That's what I want. I want that kind of attitude. I want to be able to look at people who are cursing at me and spitting at me and everything else and just be able to say, you know what? It's okay, man. I get it. But the only way you can get there is if you deal with the store. If you clean up the shelves. If you get your operations to the point to where it is so functionally efficient and clean that you can live a life worth living. And with that, I want to open it up to sharing. I want to hear from you. And you don't got to be specific, but what were some resentments that you dealt with? And did you step forward? How did you deal with it? Is there anything that you got today that you need to deal with? I want to hear from you. So let's see an uplifted hand. Anybody want to share? Got Juan. Is Austin up there? Is the live stream going? Can we cut it? Thank you. I'll give him a minute to cut the live stream. Yeah. Cut it. Cut the live stream.